much too complex, much too complex, too complex, too complex, too complex.
Good afternoon. My name is James K. Holder II. Some of you may know me as Sir James II. I'd like to welcome you back to Not On My Watch. As always, I'd like to ask you to like, share, comment, and subscribe. I want you to retweet this and repeat this. If you're watching, today is Thursday, May 3rd, 2018, and the nation is celebrating National Day of Prayer, which was initiated by one of the most disgusting, bigoted philanderers in our presidential history. I would like to call for a National Day of Silence, and I want to start by doing that in honor of some of the following people, including Meghan McCain. Over the weekend, everyone watched, well, no one really watched this as it happened over the weekend, but of course it became the tabloid fodder and the stories that everyone was following on Monday, featuring Michelle Wolf, who annihilated the White House, the president, the press, everybody in her stand-up, about a 20-minute performance at the White House Correspondents Association dinner. Now, if you haven't seen the full act, I would suggest that you definitely tune in to go watch that. Find it on C-SPAN. Or find it, I watched it on YouTube. It was actually pretty entertaining. But of course, after that, all of the conservative media had their spin on it. They all had their things to say about it. And it just really proved that they really don't have any original thoughts. They all just sort of cape for the same messaging. Donald Trump wasn't even at the dinner, which is, rare for an actual president. But I guess if you were just, placed there by a foreign body, you wouldn't need to fulfill that duty anyway. So moving along, of course, the ladies at the View table, including one of my favorites, Whoopi Goldberg, and one of my new favorites, Sunny Hostin. I've always liked Sunny Hostin, but this particular incident was bizarre to me, and I was very proud of her for not slapping Meghan McCain in the mouth. During a segment, the segment I watched was about 10 minutes long. They discussed the White House Correspondents' Dinner. Of course, Meghan McCain, as the only Republican at the table, decided that she was going to jump in and play victim, which she always does. Now, this is not a rant against Meghan McCain as much as it is a dialogue about the fact that you have conservative women who really find a way to be the anti-culture at every chance that they get. This is exactly what Meghan McCain did. And I know Meghan McCain doesn't particularly like Ann Coulter, but her behavior on that panel is frequently one of a crybaby, one who just complains, one who doesn't really discuss facts, doesn't really hold people accountable for their own words, but makes assumptions and applies guilt to people who really haven't done anything. And this is exactly what happened. Now, Sunny Hostin, who was actually in attendance at the White House Correspondents' Dinner, essentially spent a lot of time defending the overall association. She didn't really defend Michelle Wolf exclusively, but she basically said, there is a justification for the dinner itself. Meghan McCain went on to her whole dialogue about her whole monologue about how she had attended the Correspondents' Dinner as a guest of her father's, and over the years she just decided that it became too celebrity for her and that she couldn't be bothered with the mundane event. It was too red carpet, too much about glitz and glamour. And then she discussed how she felt the final straw for her was when Lindsay Lohan attended the dinner, and she thought that Lindsay Lohan was beneath the caliber of this dinner. And I was kind of like, okay, I don't know what year that was, but you're basically talking about an accomplished actress who has, lost her way every now and then. Lindsay's had her problems, but she's paid her debt to society, and now she's trying to get back on the right track. And for Meghan McCain, who's really a guest of a guest, even in her job function at The View, she's a guest of the reputation of her father. This is no shade to Meghan McCain, but on her own, her little glossy books and pamphlets that she writes wouldn't a normal person would not get the job at the anchor of The View. If you talk about what Raven Simone had to contribute to the world to be sitting at the desk on The View, aka also Star Jones, also Whoopi Goldberg, also Barbara Walters, also Sunny Hostin. If you look at the caliber of who has been a guest, who has been an anchor on The View, Meghan McCain is probably, she's a notch or two or three below an Elizabeth Hasselbeck. And that's a low notch, okay? So let's just talk about accomplishments to even get there. Meghan ain't got it. You're earning your keep, okay? And you're not doing a good job. She talks about how she's basically effectively boycotted the dinner after she saw Lindsay Lohan there, and that to her was the final straw. And I'm just kind of like, that's the type of exclusion and elitism that Republicans are constantly bashing Democrats for. Especially, that's the type of stuff that they put on Hillary Clinton, and Hillary Clinton really wasn't doing stuff like that. She would have attended those dinners. Neither here nor there. We get through all of this, and Sunny Hostin is continually defending the association itself because Meghan McCain is siding with Donald Trump, who is saying that there should be no Correspondents Association at all, which gives donations to journalism scholarships. Of course, Sunny Hostin, who has a degree in journalism, will want to support this. And yes, Meghan McCain went to college. She went to Columbia, but I don't know what her degree was in. She clearly doesn't apply it to what she does, on camera. And so it's kind of like, at one point, Meghan McCain actually questions Sunny Hostin's credentials. Now, Sunny Hostin, who's been on the block forever, she don't look it, but she's been there for a long time. She's been a correspondent for for CNN, not Fox News. Like, she hasn't been just a guest on Fox News like Meghan McCain. She asked Sunny Hostin, "Are you a journalist?" And clearly that was the reason why Sunny Hostin was invited to this dinner, not because her father was a senator. So, anyway, Sunny Hostin gave Meghan McCain a "yes, I have a degree in journalism" look, and then continued to sip her tea for the duration of the segment. And then, Meghan McCain looks embarrassed. She's found herself out as the ant culture on the panel. Then she basically starts getting misty-eyed. "I'm not trying to be disrespectful, but it's just y'all come down on conservatives so hard." And it's kind of like no one at that table questioned Meghan McCain's validity to be at the table. They've always treated her with respect, and Meghan McCain never reciprocates that respect. It's because she's an elitist. It's because she's kind of a scumbag, and really she's only riding on the wave of her father's millions of dollars of wealth that has come at the behest of and donation of those types of donors, the Kochs and the NRA and all those people. That's why she has to defend those policies, because she knows she's going to be a millionaire soon if she isn't already one. She's only famous because of the people she's associated herself with, or what the family she was born into. And it's kind of like, that's not a credential if you're going to be throwing shade at other people who've actually put it in the work. So Meghan McCain is not disappointing, because I've never been disappointed by somebody who I never had any faith in anyway. But I will say unequivocally, the reason why I don't watch, despite the fact that I love Whoopi Goldberg, despite the fact that I love Sunny Hostin, despite the fact that I love Joy Behar, Meghan McCain is the reason I don't and can't watch The View. I really didn't love Raven Simone's contributions to the show, but I still bothered to watch. And I think that show is on its way out, and it's because they continually just lower the bar by allowing people in under the fence like Meghan McCain, who really don't add any value, don't add any commentary, don't add any talent, don't bring any credentials, and really don't have the respect that's required of the space, considering you're really only there because of who you know. So that's one of the people I'd like to honor on this National Day of Prayer and Silence. Pray for silence. Pray for brains, Meghan, when you go to bed at night. Giuliani, another person who needs to shut the hell up. Giuliani appeared on Fox News. This is Adolf Giuliani, the former mayor of New York, who thought he would become the Attorney General of the United States when Donald Trump was elected, but that didn't happen, even though he spent an entire year caping for Donald Trump to get him elected. Now, this is all about Giuliani essentially trying to exonerate Donald Trump for his illegal campaign payment to silence Stormy Daniels. Giuliani tried to be the expert in saying that a payout of Stormy Daniels is not illegal because it didn't come from finance. It didn't come from campaign finances. But effectively, he put his foot in his mouth and admitted that Donald Trump admitted to him that he actually did know about the payout, that the payout actually happened. It happened at that timing to silence Trump and to silence Daniels and keep her from coming out with this story around the time that he and Hillary Clinton were debating before the 2016 election. So it's clearly tied directly to the election. Donald Trump then came out with a series of tweets explaining more things. Rudy Giuliani claims now that he talked to Donald Trump about it. Donald Trump was very pleased with his interview and what he said, and that he doesn't expect to be fired by Donald Trump. But I didn't know he was hired by Donald Trump. I didn't know Rudy Giuliani had a job. I thought he was too sick to actually work, since he was too sick to run against Hillary Clinton for the Senate seat in New York, when he claimed that's why he didn't run against her, even though he had so much shit to say about her years after the fact and her health during the 2016 campaign. But that's neither here nor there. Hopefully, Rudy Giuliani will choose to remain silent, plead the fifth maybe, shut the hell up, whatever he needs to do, because he's terrible and he's always been terrible, and he should probably focus on his next divorce and which one of his cousins he's going to marry next. Speaking of spilling the beans, Donald Trump's feud with the country of China is now creating a directly detrimental environment for the American farmers, especially in the Midwest, as we've seen that China has effectively halted all purchase and orders of sales of soybeans from the United States. Now, it's important to note that this is a part of a whole trade war that's been going on. The whole ramping up of it started with tough talk from Donald Trump, which resulted in China slapping 25% tariffs on soybeans. Donald Trump hit back with more threats about all things, I guess saying that maybe he wasn't going to manufacture his ties there anymore. But then they hit back and basically just cancel all orders from the farmers who rely on orders from China, as China is the second largest market for U.S. agriculture. That's not someone you really want to disrupt. Ironically, those farmers are the very ones who were the crux of Donald Trump's base. So again, maybe it's better to vote based on policy and what people actually say they're going to do, and not just bigoted rhetoric and propaganda. Because unfortunately, based on, I think farmers are finding themselves in a really tough pickle because they don't have the adequate manpower or womanpower to harvest their crops, because there's such fear and tension being propagated against the people of Mexican descent, who are sometimes associated with being undocumented immigrants, and therefore the culture around ICE and assault on people of color who tend to be very influential in the agricultural markets are leading to a lack of and shortage of labor and ability to really just harvest in those crops. So that's one, but then you've also got stuff like this, and then also just as the droughts continue and other things impacted by climate change and also Clean Water Acts and all these other things within the environment, we're going to keep seeing more and more trouble for agriculture, which is going to lead to more and more trouble for the American diner and eater and home cook and everybody. So I hope you'll tune into my show, The Counter, which focuses on those issues somewhat from a household perspective, a home economics perspective. Sometimes we don't go so political when it comes to those things, but we can teach you how to make mayonnaise from scratch, which was the uploaded show from today. Speaking of discussing things that you wouldn't ordinarily want, but if you made them at home yourself, they might be great, like my Dijonnaise recipe, I want to talk about Bill Cosby. This gentleman was, or not gentleman, this nasty old man was just barred from the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences. And now, what this means is, I guess, he won't be allowed to vote on like the Best Picture Oscar. I didn't really know that Bill Cosby had won an Academy Award, but you don't actually have to win an Academy Award to become a part of the Academy. They have a lot of voting members. Sadly, he was one of the black ones, but hey, whatever. Oscar's so white, we got to get rid of the molesters. And along with him, they also ousted Roman Polanski. Now, that's not who I want to talk about today. I want to focus a little bit on Camille Cosby, because this is our segment of people who need to simply shut the hell up. That would be Camille. Now, Camille, we know that for years you have been an accomplice to all of the assaults and sexual allegations against your husband, Bill Cosby, whether in silence, in secret, or in support. You have been there, and you've been a silent actor in this whole thing. So for you to come out today and attack the accusers is ridiculous. For you to come out today and claim that the treatment of your husband is akin to Emmett Till is absolutely ridiculous. Now, I don't know if you were trying to be deep and claim that, oh, well, the woman who got Emmett Till killed was a white woman who was lying. I know a lot of people didn't want to believe the allegations against Bill Cosby. Some of that stemmed from the fact that many of the accusers were white women. But to come after Andrea Constant after all of this has been, sort of vindicated in court, your husband had his day in court. And if you don't want to have your day in court, I suggest you just roll with the consensus as it is now, that nasty old man better pray that he does not get more than his house arrest when he gets sentenced in, I guess, next month, whenever they sentence his ass. We're going to find out where he goes. The more she talks, the more I'm inching towards he needs to go to jail, because she needs to understand that there's consequences for all this stuff. And it's really sad. That's disappointing. Now, finally, I want to talk about what's going on in Oklahoma, because things are not okay in okay. And I mentioned this starting out. This is the state to watch in terms of the rapid deterioration of culture and just decency in America. Now, Oklahoma followed Georgia in passing anti-gay legislation, which will prevent, or rather make it illegal for same-sex families to adopt children in the state. Now, again, there's a wave of those types of policies gearing up, ramping up in the state legislatures. And also, another thing that's happening now that we need to watch is the really, really, really conservative anti-abortion legislation that's ramping up all across the country. Now, you've got Iowa that has been in the news this week, and we'll talk more about that on the Weekend 10 tomorrow. But in addition to Oklahoma passing that last week, this week is, in fact, last night, under the cloak of night, their state legislature just passed the constitutional carry law. Now, what this will allow is for people to have guns and open carry, any type of gun basically, without even having a license or a permit in the state. Now, this is a part of a larger wave. Over the years, we've seen all these campus carry policies, these campus carry laws, where now states like Georgia have shifted. We've seen them shift. We saw the state legislature pass this legislation. We saw the governor veto it after the 2016 election. We saw it signed into law in the state of Georgia. These are the types of things we need to be watching, because we can't talk about federal gun legislation and the NRA if we're not watching these closely validated, battles state by state that's happening in the state houses, the state legislature, and even sometimes city council. So we really have to start looking more local when it comes to the gun issue, as opposed to trying to do this sweeping federal legislation, because I just really feel like it's not going to go anywhere. That being the case, it doesn't surprise me that in 2018, you've got a new form of lynching taking place in states like Oklahoma. Now, this is a complicated story, so I'm going to pull out some notes here, and it really is sad. And this is the Root reporting that in Moore, Oklahoma, 2 young black men were killed by a family of 4. Essentially, this family of 4 were all charged. 4 white people killed by killed 2 black men. Now, apparently, this happened while one of the 16-year-old white family members was trying to buy a gun from someone that they met through Craigslist. They showed up in a parking lot to do the exchange. For some reason, these 2 black men who were selling the gun entered a van with the family of the 2 white men who went to go purchase the gun. Now, the two black men who were killed were both 21 years old. The young man who was trying to purchase the gun was 16 years old, white, and then his brother don't let me lie to y'all. His brother is 22 years old. Now, kills, apparently during the exchange, the 2 white people in the van claim that they heard one of the black people loading the gun that they were going to buy from him. And as a result, opened fire and shot both of them to death. They then went back to the house and got the help of their other family members, the 2 other white people, that helped them dismember the bodies, throw them into some body of water. I'm sorry, this is a really complicated and convoluted story. Dismembered the bodies, after shot them, blood was all over the van, helped them clean up the van. Apparently the van was found with cleaning products around it, and they were all called in and charged. Now, it really, yeah, this says QFOR, I don't know what station that is, reports that the police found the white Chrysler Town & Country van surrounded by cleaning products and a power washer. The inside of the van was splattered with blood, and a chainsaw and jigsaw were soaking in water. They used a chainsaw now to dismember these bodies. Now, what kind of evil does it take for you to set out to go meet somebody? You claim you're going to meet them for a financial transaction or to purchase a gun. It really seems like they baited these 2 people into this situation. Not unlike all of the interactions you see with the police and unarmed black men, or sometimes armed black men, where you claim, oh, well, I fired in self-defense because I fear for my life. That has to end. And the reality is, these 4 people have been charged. We don't know where it's going to go. I'm hoping they get locked under the jail. But just to kill 2 21-year-old black men who were doing nothing other than trying to accommodate a request of yours within the confines of the law, and you open fire on them inside of your vehicle, you dismember their bodies, you throw them in a lake to hide it, you try to hide the evidence, you clean your van. That is a special kind of evil. And that is what's going on in Oklahoma. So I just want to close this segment of Oklahoma is not okay by just asking y'all to keep your eyes peeled for stuff like this. We talk about the systemic racism and how the trickle-down effects of what is allowed for law enforcement to get away with invites itself into our own daily lives when it comes to dealing with motorists, coming to dealing with other white citizens. There's just a lot of fear out here, and it's this unrationalized fear against black people allows people to think they can be justified in committing premeditated murder, which is what I believe this is, and then trying to hide the bodies and dismember them. It is disgraceful, it's disgusting, and it has to stop. People who are out here defending this use of force against black people, there's a special place in hell for you. And ain't no amount of prayer, even on National Day of Prayer, is going to stop that. So with all that done and said, I would like to thank our friends of the show. As always, if you'd like to become a friend of the show, You can do so by donating $1 or more to the PayPal link above at www.paypal.me/jkh2. And today I am thanking Connie B, Karen B, Deborah T, MLH, Elizabeth C, Ava J, Jane O, Barry G, Gabby D, David B, and also Catherine D. So with all that, as always, I'd like to ask you to like, share, comment, and subscribe. I want you to retweet this and repeat this, and make sure to tune into the Weekend 10, which will be airing tomorrow afternoon. As always, I'd like to ask you to relax, relate, and resist. Thank you.
Too complex, much too complex, too complex, much too complex, too complex, too complex, too complex.